and welcome to today's episode of Forbidden Planet TV. And we are actually in the London flagship store today, which is very exciting. I've been allowed out of our offices purely to talk to the wonderful Lauren Roberts about oh my god. Hi Lauren, how's it going?
Oh, it's great. I'm so happy to be here. That was a great intro. But yeah, I wrote Powerless and Powerful.
She wrote some stuff.
I did.
And Reckless will be with us.
Yes, very soon in July. So I'm very excited.
So, what can you tell us about the series so far and kind of where the first ideas came from?
Yeah, so I always like to say that Powerless is like a combination between the Red Queen and the Hunger Games. If they had a child that doesn't resemble the parents as it gets older.
Right.
If that made any sense. And so it is getting older, you know, Reckless is coming out, and so it kind of steers a little bit away from that Hunger Games feel. But I guess the shell of the idea happened with like a shower thought, where all the good thoughts come from. And it was literally the idea that I had read so many amazing YA books where, you know, the main character gains these powers and they're the one to kind of save everybody and like steer the way for everybody else. And I was like, what if, you know, I flipped that and did the main character who's the only one without powers and everyone around her is so powerful. So she kind of has to find this strength within herself type of thing. So lots of fighting and romance and tropes and tension.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Literally everything I loved to read, I just kind of threw in this book. So,
and that's kind of what I love about central characters so much, is that they are like you and me. They are not the kind of quintessential chosen one who suddenly comes into the, you know, powers that they didn't know they had. That they're, you know, struggling to get by, and they're kind of quite sassy about it.
Yes. No, I loved writing all of them. I thought it was so interesting too, because Paedyn, one of the main characters, and Kai, it's dual point of view, so you really get to see from both of them, and they're so opposite in the way they've been raised. And you know, Paedyn's been like struggling to survive and everything her whole life, and Kai's like a prince who's the enforcer, and he's like super powerful. So they're like complete opposite, you know, people. And so it was so fun to like switch between their voices and kind of hear their inner thoughts and things.
And one of the things I've circled it, like outlined it in my notes here, is female friendships, because this is so important, and I love when there's like a central kind of female friendship. So tell us about that.
Yes, I knew from the start that I wanted, you know, Adina and Paedyn to be like best friends. And I thought that was very important for Paedyn's like even development as a character too, and everything that kind of happens with Adina. And when I had first written it, I don't think I did it right. Like there's so much I could talk about with that, which I won't go into. But literally the first couple of drafts, it wasn't hitting like I wanted it to, and so I went back and like reworked some things. I'm trying not to spoil anything, but I went back and like really focused on it for a little bit. And then kind of made Powerless sit where I wanted it to with their friendship. And then obviously with Powerful, this is Adina's story, and it happens at the same time as Powerless. So it's like what Adina's up to while Paedyn's in trials. And then that was when I could really like hone in on her character and like who she is and like why they're such good friends.
Yes.
But I had such a good time writing it, because I also love a good like girl friendship. It's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Liz, you know, like reading the first book, and then just I'm always the reader that's just like, well, what was happening to that person? And then you just did it.
Right. Yes, it was so fun. I'm so happy I got to do that, because it filled in a lot of the gaps, I think. Like, what is Adina doing right now?
Yeah,
so
exactly. No, perfect. And do you find, like you were saying before, obviously maybe having to kind of rewrite like some of the scenes and stuff with those two characters, did you ever kind of think, well, how do I talk to my friends? And then maybe I just need to
Yes, right. A lot of times when it comes to like banter, which I know that like the banter between Paedyn and Adina is very different. Like it's friendship, not like romance, you know? And so I find that I really tried to understand them as well as I could before stepping into the story. And it was so easy to kind of have like Adina be like this bubbly, beautiful ray of sunshine, and then Paedyn to kind of react to that.
Yes.
So I always say like it's easiest to write dialogue when you think of one as a kind of instigator and one as a reactor, and then they kind of like weave together rather than like two separate dialogues you're trying to smash together, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it was much easier to write Adina and Paedyn's dialogue than it is, you know, the romantic dialogue. But yeah, I guess I really did draw from like my real life. Being like, oh yeah, me and my friends were just sitting around eating, you know, honey buns and talking and everything. So it was not difficult.
Yes. We'll have to come back to the food thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is a major thing.
Right.
Who was your favorite character to write?
I always want to say Kai, just because I love writing a man and like getting him to say and do what I want. Like there's just so much power in that, and I love just being a little puppeteer and be like, yes, pine over her, you know, like that's so fun. So I loved writing his like point of view, but also Jax. He's one of the side characters. He's just so sweet, like a little cinnamon roll, and he was like the little brother I never had, and so he was very fun. Every time he like came in, I was like, ooh, it was so fun to write. Other than that, I mean, Adina, she's kind of like the girl older version of Jax. Like they're very similar, and I loved writing her. So there's too many to choose from, but those are kind of my top three.
And there is something about the whole Regina George of it all, the whole Blair of it all. That you hate her, but I'm sure she was like fun to write.
She was, and you know what? I'm hoping by the end of the series, people might change their mind about her a little bit, because she is a little layered, and I'm gonna explore that. Okay. Because she is so annoying in the first book. Like literally, I see comments of people being like, "Oh, every time she came on the page, I was just like, get away." And she is very annoying. So I guess we'll see where she goes, and if anyone changes their mind. But she was very fun to write.
Yes.
And just kind of be like,
yeah. So you mentioned before about, I suppose, maybe more difficult kind of writing the kind of love and pining scenes between the two main characters. So yeah, where did you start with that?
Really my own delusions. Like that's really where it originates from. Yeah. Like, you know, the like fantasies before bed type of thing. Like you're just thinking. And then I wrote Powerless when I was 18, so it was like, you know, everything was right there, and I just kind of poured it into this book. And there were times too, and even like my outline, where I would, you know, be outlining scenes, and then I'd come to a part where I'd say, cutesy little scene between, you know, Kai and Paedyn, because sometimes I didn't even know what I wanted their scenes to look like, but once I got there, they kind of just like knew what they wanted to say, which sounds so weird and creepy, but it really is like that. Like it just flows, and they kind of do what they want. But again, kind of the same thing with the like instigator, which Kai is almost always the instigator, and so he's always trying to like, you know, rile up Paedyn, and then Paedyn's just reacting to him. And so that's how I found it easiest to look at that. Like it's a very like flowing thing rather than trying to jam two different dialogues into one. But there were a lot of times too where I would just highlight a scene and be like, I don't know what I want them to say yet, and I come back to it, and it'll come. Like there's no harm in doing that, you know, just being like, all right, let me write this scene later when I'm refreshed and everything. So, but other than that, it was just fun. Like I just loved making him say whatever I wanted to, and her like resisting him, which I don't even know how she does that. Every time I was writing, I was like, girl, like it could not be me, but it was so fun.
Such a slow burn as well. Like you just like every time that they're kind of interacting, you're just like, oh, who is this?
I know.
Just do it.
Same. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, why aren't they? But then I'm writing it. So yeah.
So touched on kind of tropes there. So what are your kind of favourite tropes to either read or write?
Yes, I love a good, and this sounds so crazy to anybody who doesn't like read, but I love a good nightmare trope, which sounds terrible, but it really, I feel like it strips the character down, and they're like all their guards are down, and then it typically leads to like a one bed trope, so it's kind of like a 2-for-1. I find that so fun, and that's why, I mean, I was 18, so I put like every trope I like in this book, and it definitely tones down for the rest of the series, but like literally everything I could do I put in there. So I love that, and obviously like Extra Throat is so fun. Recently I've been exploring Reckless, the one horse trope.
Oh my god,
which is so crazy to say, but it's really fun, and it's like a different like twist kind of on like the one bed trope. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. So
yeah, I quite like. There's something very Tolkien kind of about, you know, I'm gonna pull up this person and save them, and we're gonna ride away on the one horse together.
Right. No, I love it. It's so fun.
So coming back to the food aspect, this is full of food porn.
It is. It's
so good.
Thank
But it
you.
does make you super hungry when you do it. So you're just like, I need a cinnamon bun, I need lemon cake.
I know. And it's so interesting too, because I've had people ask me like, oh, are these your favorite foods? And I'm like, no. They really are. I actually don't like honey either. It's not. So every time I would write about the honey buns, I was like, ugh, like that's not for me.
What would be your favorite cake?
Cheesecake is like my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
But I do love a good like lemon cake.
Yeah.
So that was something I did put in there. But like, you know, Paedyn loving like butterscotch.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll eat it, but it's
Yeah.
not like my go-to. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of food things in there that kind of carry through the series, or even like the blueberries that Paedyn likes and Kai doesn't. Honestly, I like to use those things as just a way to get to know the characters more than anything. But it's fun for me because I do get hungry. I'm like, oh, that sounds good.
Something then. What's your writing snack then?
Ooh, I love a good Cheez-It. Do you guys, you have those here, right?
So you have to go to like American food stores, and they like popped up everywhere, which is great. Annoyingly, the one near me has closed. So I live in West London. There used to be this amazing like corner shop that would have just every peanut butter thing you could think of, and I used to grab Milanos from there, and then they stopped stocking Milanos, and then I was just like, I think I was like looking on Amazon, and it was like £20 for like one box of Milanos.
That's crazy.
I mean, they're good.
Right, they are not that good though for that price. Wow. Yeah, I love
Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its are so fun. I'll just munch on those, and then I love a good like recently like I'll get like cranberry juice or something, some sort of juice. I love juice. It was like my favorite thing, so I'll just kind of sip on that and listen to white noise as I write, and that's really it.
So the fantastic magic system, and especially obviously Kai in particular being able to kind of wield different people's magic. So where did that kind of idea come from for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of books that explore like powers and things, and obviously Red Queen was like a big inspiration. That was like one of my favorite books growing up, and so I knew that I wanted like this plague to kind of sweep through the kingdom and make like ordinaries without powers and elites with powers. And then from there, I remember like scrolling on the internet through like old comics of like powers, trying to like, that was really how because obviously there were some that were very obvious, like super strength or speed. I just had to come up with like names for them, which wasn't very difficult. They're not very creative, but you know, so I just kind of did that. But then I was like, okay, what are some more like not as known type of things? And so I would like go on the internet and scroll through like comics from decades ago, and there's some with like their skin turns to stone and stuff, and I was like, oh, like that's a good idea type of thing. So I would kind of put my own twist on it or change the name and everything. So it was a combination of things I read and things I just enjoyed reading, like I love a good power. And then for Kai, I remember when I was plotting him out, I was like, he needs to be very powerful, and he needs to be kind of like the one and only until, you read other things, which I won't say. But, and so I kind of was like, okay, let's have him be able to wield everything, but he still does have, restrictions. Like he needs to be close to them and draw on their power and everything. So that was a little tougher to work through because I didn't want him to be like almighty powerful, which is interesting because in Reckless, it steps away from Ilya. So when there's no powers to draw from, like the playing field kind of levels between him and Paedyn. So that's like very interesting to see. Yeah.
Because obviously Kai as a character is such a tortured character as well, that he's kind of been in a way forced into this position, and he obviously wants to protect his brother, and that's another wonderful relationship between the brothers. But yeah, the struggle is real with Kai.
Yes, he's very like morally gray in the sense that he's extremely loyal, and so he feels like tied to duty, but at the same time he kind of knows that what he's doing isn't right, but he can't change it. So he was very, again, he was so fun to write. I love writing him.
So you touched on a little minor spoiler for the next book.
Oh,
so
yes.
What else can you tell us, or what else are you allowed to tell us?
Great question. Yeah, so again, it doesn't really take place in Ilya, so you kind of move away. And I believe in the synopsis, so I can say it because it's in the synopsis.
Okay.
But it takes place in Dor, which you see in the map at the front of the book.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a city across the Scorches. And it's basically, there's a lot of close proximity, just a lot of, you know, things that need to be resolved for reasons I won't state because at the end of Powerless. But yeah, it's just a lot of development in some relationships and things, and it's kind of like Kai again being forced to do his duty and everything. That was, I think, the most I could do without spoiling.
No. So coming to the end of the interview today, because I've a ton of books. So you've been in the UK for a little while. What are you most kind of looking forward to doing whilst you're here? Or what have you done that you've really loved to watch?
I have loved eating. Yeah, that's been so fun. I tried haggis, which I loved. It was so good. And same with blood pudding. I liked it a lot. It was very yummy. But those are just things I ate. What did I do? Mostly just kind of explored as much as we could because it's been go, go, go. But I mean, everywhere has been so beautiful. Like, it's straight out of the book. I'm like taking notes at these like beautiful castles in Scotland and everything. It's gorgeous. But we did go to the printers yesterday actually to see Reckless being printed, and that was so cool just to like learn behind the scenes. But that was very fun, and again, just the sightseeing. I went and saw a play here in London, so that was amazing. I'm just taking notes of everything I get to do, hopefully when I come back, so I can do a lot more of like, you know, the fun things. So.
And what are you currently reading, watching, and if you game, what are you playing?
Ooh. Okay, currently reading, which I'm technically listening to it because I'm writing and it gets so jumbled if I'm reading. Yeah, it's this whole thing. So I'm listening to The Prison Healer right now. Yes, because I've heard really, really good things about the trilogy. So I'm making my way through that, and it's been very good. So I'm excited. Watching, I'm currently watching The Great on Hulu.
Oh, yes. Okay,
it's very, very interesting. Like, you kind of have to push past the first season, but it's really good. I'm enjoying it a lot. That and kind of Peaky Blinders. I got into Peaky Blinders even long before I even knew I was going to be here, and so I'm towards the end of it, and it's so good. And then game. Ooh, I don't know. I guess I don't really play many games. I guess I did just borrow Wii from a friend of mine, and I've been playing just like Wii bowling on there. That's kind of it.
It's keeping fit and it's gaming.
Right, exactly.
So yeah. Have you had the chance to go to Peaky Blinders territory whilst you've been in the UK?
No. We were kind of like on the outskirts of it, I believe, but like didn't really get to travel in there just because it's been every day kind of going. But again, next time, absolutely, I would love to.
We have a store in Birmingham, so we have a store in Peaky Blinders territory, and I'm also from up the road from Peaky Blinders.
Really?
So that's where I was born and raised.
That is
so
so cool.
yeah,
I would love to visit.
It's a lovely part of the world, and there are so many amazing places to eat as
Yeah,
well, in and around the Midlands and stuff. Yeah.
That's like that is really exciting.
Yes.
I would love to do that
She's
next
coming
time.
back, folks.
Yes, absolutely.
Our food isn't that bad.
No, it's great. Actually, like I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So, yeah.
And if you have one book recommendation for everyone out there, whether it's something that you don't think gets enough love or an author you recently found, what would you recommend?
Yes, I will always like speak about Olivia Blake. I absolutely love her writing. The most beautiful prose. I know that she's not like underground or like unheard of, but I like, even as someone who enjoys fantasy so much, she writes such good, like Alone with You in the Ether is one of the most beautiful, like mundane love stories I've ever read, but it like was not mundane at the same time. It was so intriguing. She has so many like underlying messages and like themes in her books, and her prose is just like lyrical. So I will always like spew good things about her. So Alone with You in the Ether, and her newer book, Masters of Death.
Yes. Oh my God,
so good. So highly recommend that.
That's right. She was in here a couple of months back now, and it was just, it's always fantastic to kind of have Olivia in, and obviously signing a ton of stock and stuff. And then she was going to do some funny photo shoot and tried to climb onto one of our tables, and then I was just like, oh my God, health and safety, I'm not killing an author on my get off the table.
She's so fun. She is. Yeah, I will never stop saying good things about her. So
yeah, she's amazing.
She is.
Definitely. But thank you, Lauren, for joining us today. And we're going to get a ton of books signed. So if you check out our website or go to any of our stalls, you will find signed stock very soon.
Yay! Thank you.
See you next episode. Bye.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.